So what's your name again?
Domotron.
Domotron? What kind of fucking name is that?
It's the coolest one I could think of.
More like the lamest one. So you want to join TurboZone?
Yeah, I mean, I love video games. I've played them all my life, and I've seen what you do, and, I want to help out. I want to do stuff with it.
So tell me, Domotron, are you ready to devote your life to the arcade overlords?
What?
One of Boops, they rule over the TurboZone, man. They control all 8-bit existence.
What are you talking about? We're in your room. 8 bits, there's 16 bits, 32, 64, probably 4-bit, 20-bit. What are you talking about?
Look, I'm not sure this is going to work out. I wasn't even looking for new hires anyway. I mean, I got my hands full enough. TurboBot 90031 recommended you for the job, and I trust the robots, so I gotta, I thought I'd bring you in. So, do you have any special qualities at all? Anything I can use?
No. I suck at games, and yeah, I know a lot, but I got 7800 and television.
Why didn't you start off with that, man? Fuck it, you're hired, dude. Hey, Geeks and Gamers, welcome back to TurboZone, the only show that's filmed on the same couch every week. True story. This is my friend Domotron, otherwise known as Josh. Say hello, Josh.
Hello.
He has been anointed to join the TurboZone.
I've entered another plane of existence.
By the arcade overlords. He's got something special. What you got, Josh?
Well, I've got the Atari 7800.
Something I don't have.
Yeah.
I have a 2600. I have a Sears Telegames. I don't have this boy.
This is a good boy right here.
So yeah, we're gonna just talk about the console. We're gonna show the console a little bit, talk about some of the good things, some of the not so good things, and I guess in the end we'll say if we recommend it or not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't tell you a lot of the info, like release dates and all that. I know it was supposed to come out before the Nintendo, but something happened. I don't remember what. I haven't done a lot of information searches on it, but it came out after the Nintendo, but it's not nearly as good as the Nintendo, in my opinion. It lacks. But, I mean, for what it's worth, it is a pretty good system. And, of course, it does play as far as I'm aware of, all 2600 games.
Yeah, it is backwards compatible.
It's backwards compatible with
2600,
yeah.
Which is something the 5200 could not say.
Well, I mean, you can store things in there. I wonder what that
Oh, in the flap?
I wonder what that thing was really for, though. Maybe cord storage or something?
Maybe controller.
Maybe. I don't know. Well, I mean, those belong in the trash.
Oh, that's true.
Those belong in the trash.
But yeah, the 7800, yeah, it coexisted with the NES and the Master System, I guess you would say, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like around that time frame. The 80s, people were. This was the time whenever the market was kind of veering away from Atari.
Yeah. It fell short for I'd say a lot of reasons. One, it was just, Nintendo was just dominating everything. It was Nintendo everything. Everything was about Nintendo with gaming in the 80s. But not only that, a bunch of people that I've, talked to and things, everybody already got rid of all their old Atari games. The ones who kept them, it was a good thing to go back to because they could play everything, but everybody already sold their Atari stuff for the Nintendo, and it just, it fell short. The games have that simplistic feel. I don't have too many games for the 7800, but the 7800 games still very much have that Atari feel. It has that arcade feel. I like the old games, but they don't hold my attention long. They don't suck me in like Castlevania or Mega Man or Contra or, any games like that. They don't suck me in like that. They're really, to the point, simple, but they're fun. I mean, the 7800 is a really good system for that aspect, but I mean, you got to think it's comparing with Nintendo, which had so much more. It had RPGs. Is there one RPG for the 2600? For Atari in general?
There's a homebrew RPG.
There's a homebrew.
True story. It's real.
I believe it, but I mean, when it comes down to like official licensed games, there isn't. I mean, we were going to a whole new thing. Games were becoming so much more serious. It wasn't just arcade one screen, couple screen games. They were becoming way more advanced, and I mean, Atari just didn't click with it.
But I mean, that doesn't mean you have to write off the 7800 completely. I mean,
No.
from a visual standpoint, the system looks really nice.
It does.
It has a really nice design.
The plastic doesn't feel as nice.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if I like it as much as the 2600 design, but it still looks like an Atari console, and I like the additions of the buttons on the front instead of the back.
Yes.
It's a nice feel. It definitely looks more like a modern console than the 2600 does. They took some design cues from other consoles, obviously. But you can still look at it and tell that, like, from the angular shape, it's still an Atari.
Yeah, and see, you've got your power button right here, and then, of course, you've got the pause button, which I don't know why they didn't include it on the controllers, but you do have a pause button. It's still going for that old time where you gotta, like, have the consoles near you, but then you have the select button, and which of course selects the game mode or the difficulties depending on which game, and then the reset, which also starts it. For the 7800 games, the reset will completely reset the console, and of course the select will put like difficulty. With like games like Dig Dug and even Miss Pac-Man, there are difficulty levels for it. And then down here at the bottom, you have the controller ports. But in between the controller ports, you have two little switches, which I'm guessing are the left and right difficulties.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I haven't fiddled with that too much. Mainly, I just pop it in and just play because it's real easy to do that. And the thing is, everything works with it. The 7800 is it's more just an updated Atari console. Like the entire 2600 is in this thing pretty much. It plays everything. It uses the same controller ports. I don't have a working 7800 controller. I use the 2600 controller. The Genesis controller still works for the most part. Paddle controllers, the little touchpad thing for Star Raiders and things like that works on there. It literally works like a normal Atari. And it's easier to hook up and all that. It's great. Like, I really do love this in a way to play my Atari games. Where it does fall short with the 7800, there are certain types of games that don't work with normal Atari, because the 7800 does have two buttons. The original controller has an analog and then two buttons on the side. It's an awful design, but if you do decide to get the 7800 and you're looking for controller options, definitely look into finding a European one. It's much more like the Nintendo controller. I've heard it's superior in every single way. It works better. The 7800, I got two of them with this console. They were both broken. I can't find working ones anywhere. I'm gonna have to order ones online. But yeah, everything else works. And even with the 7800 games, most of the games work with the 2600 controller and even the Genesis controller for the most part. The only issues I've ran into is with Asteroids. Asteroids with the Genesis controller doesn't seem to work, constantly teleport. That's the only issue so far. Now with there are red label games. Now, I'm not 100% on this, but there are some games that have black labels and some that have red labels. On the red labels, those games I'm guessing require both buttons. The Sega Genesis controller does not work with those. It kind of does. I have Choplifter and Karate Ka. Karate Ka I cannot get to work at all. At all. I can't play it. I've got I've got the 7800 controller. If I can go left and right and the buttons work, but I can't play it because the controller's broken. I can't actually play it, but I know it works. Choplifter is the other one I have that is specifically with the red label, and I'm constantly shooting. I don't know why. I can move around and everything's fine, even with the Sega Genesis controller, but I'm constantly shooting. I don't know if that's an issue with there only being like the 2 buttons. I'm not sure, but it's really strange. Some games work perfectly fine. Every single game I own works perfectly fine except for those 3 games. But if with Asteroids, I can play with a normal 2600 controller and it works fine.
Now, one thing to note is that the 7800 has it has its own power cord. It's just this power cord works with nothing else. It is just the one power cord. So if you're ever picking up a unit and you think, oh, I have a 2600, I can just use that power cord. No, you can't.
No. And good luck finding a replacement. If you are shopping for one of these bad boys and it doesn't come with a power cord, unless you can find one, unless you can find an alternate listing for just the power cable, don't get it. Because good luck finding a replacement. Good luck.
And one thing to note is that we're showing off, all the footage shown off during this video is recorded off of this 7800 console, and we're recording it through a VCR, so it's a little fuzzy, but we're using RCA. We don't have a modded console. We're doing it the old-fashioned way. So it's going from an RF signal out through the VCR out to my recording. So it's a little fuzzy, but we're showing off some of the 7800 games, of course, and some of the 2600 games to kind of compare the different versions of the games.
Yeah.
Some of the versions do look vastly different.
Definitely.
But
the sound is weak.
Yes.
I feel the sound is definitely an issue. It's not bad. It's on par with the 2600. I think it uses the same sound chip.
Well, some of the games sounded like.
But yes, Dig Dug and I think Miss Pac-Man as well. But I know Dig Dug for a fact uses the same exact sounds from the 7800 from the 2600. It really throws it off for me. Like, it's really, it feels weird just having that different sound. Because, the graphics are so much better. You expect it to sound more like the arcade version, but it doesn't, and it really throws you off.
But, I think overall the 7800 is a good pickup for somebody that wants to get into Atari.
Definitely.
That's somebody that doesn't already have an Atari console. Somebody like me, I already have a 2600, and I have a Sears Telegames. I don't really. The only reason I would need this is to just play the 7800 titles, and there's really not a lot of them. There's a handful, but there's really not too many. But I would say, yeah, if you're wanting to get into Atari games, this is a good way to do it.
Definitely, for sure. Just where everything is pick up and go with it. Everything, you don't need to buy any special things to play 2600 games. It's literally a 2600 in the console. It's definitely good if you don't have a Atari 2600. You've got plenty of options. You can get a 2600. You can mod a 2600. The Retron 77 just came out, and I'm sure, honestly, with time, there'll be ways to get 7800 games to work on the SD card. But if you're going for actual hardware, the 7800 is really good. I got mine for about $70-$80, which is I'd say is a pretty good deal.
You bought it at Retro Rewind. Shout out to Retro Rewind.
Yeah, watch it. But yeah, I got it from there for about $70-$80. It was really good. He threw in some games, and it works great. I can play all of them. I don't have to worry. I'm not limited to just the 2600. I can go to the 7800, and it's real easy. Atari games are so cheap, and there's so many good ones.
Yeah. See, the thing is that a lot of collectors want Nintendo games or anything like that, and like you said earlier, because they're more developed games. But somebody like me, I love arcade style games. A lot of times I don't have a lot of time to play video games, throughout the week. I work a lot, and a lot of days before I go to work, I don't want to sit down and play something that I know I'm not gonna, get the full enjoyment out of. I'm
Yeah,
gonna play
or gotta have a little notebook of passwords.
Yeah, exactly.
And stuff like
I
that.
want to sit down and play something simple, and that's where the Atari usually comes in. And I get to play really simple, really fun arcade games, and that's really the Atari demographic, which I don't think is really as it's still there. There's still a fan base, but
there is very much so.
But as for the average collector, yeah, it's really cheap because a lot of people don't appreciate it.
I mean, there's a game store here in town that literally They threw away dozens of Atari games. Just threw them away.
That made me mad. Yeah, no, that made me so mad. I used to buy those games too. I used to go there and buy my Atari games.
Just threw them away.
Yeah.
People think Atari. For some reason, there are a lot of people that think Atari is junk and it's not worth collecting, but they're wrong. They're really good games. Mega Mania. Anything Activision is fantastic. Pitfall, but there are other games. Demons to Diamonds is really good. You get some good paddle controllers. All those games are fantastic. I love playing with the paddle controllers. They're so responsive and it's fun. I have more fun playing on that than some of the newer consoles.
And what pisses me off, especially about that game store throwing away the Atari games, is that we're gonna get to a point in the not so distant future where a lot of that stuff's gonna be hard to find.
It's gonna be hard to find. It's gonna be hard to find a working
that stuff's getting old. It's getting really old. So if you really want to collect Atari, now's the time. Now's the time to get into it.
And like I said, everything. If you go to pricecharting.com, that's a really good website that I use to compare prices. And I think a lot of game stores follow price charting. But that's a really good site to use. They have most, if not all, the games available right there, and they have accurate prices. If you go through the Atari games, most of them are under $5-10. They are so cheap, and it's great, and a lot of them are good. Even ET.
So yeah, we both agree that the 7800 is worth collecting.
For sure, definitely. It's harder to find the 7800 games, but you can play 2600. And you can find 7800 games here and there. And you can always look on the famous thing known as the internet that you're watching this from. Amazon exists, and eBay. And not only that, homebrew. Homebrew titles work on the 7800. They work. And I think there are homebrew 7800 games as well.
On the you can go on Atari Age.
Yeah.
And they sell them on there. So
Isn't there a Pac-Man Jr. one?
There's one that has, I believe it has a few different Pac-Man games packaged in, and then I think there is one with Pac-Man Jr.
Yeah. That sounds absolutely amazing.
Oh yeah, and homebrew Atari games, that's a whole different video.
Yeah.
We both recommend 7800
for sure.
So thank you, Jash or Domotron for joining Turbo Zone here.
Hey.
As my newest slave. So, well, we all serve the arcade overlords.
Yeah.
That's the sad truth about it. I'm just one step higher than you. Thanks for watching.
Hey geeks and gamers, TurboBot90013 here. Remember to subscribe to the Turbo Zone for more content. The Arcade Overlord, thank you. Stay retro. Turbo Zone.
It's like a Metal Jesus opening.
Okay, guys, let's talk about my. I got this new console, and it's pretty cool. It's
Metal Jesus here. I'm here with my good friend Ron Jiggs.
I'm supposed to be the immortal John Hancock.
Oh, I was doing Ron Jiggs.
I don't know what he says. I don't watch him.
He's bald.
The immortal John Hancock here.
I'm here with my friend Kinsey. That's how he said that too. He goes, Kinsey, every fucking time.
Don't post this on YouTube, please.
Oh, it's going on.
No.